Welcome to the audio version of our newest report. We hope you enjoy it. Key takeaways. The threat actor gained initial access by a fake Zoom installer that used DFAC and IDAT loader to drop SecTopRat. After 9 days of dwell time, the SecTopRat malware dropped Cobalt Strike and Brute Ratel. Lateral movement was achieved using various remote services and later RDP. To facilitate RDP lateral movement, the threat actor employed a malware with proxy capabilities known as QDOR. The threat actor used WinRAR to archive various files and then upload them to a cloud SaaS application named Bublup. Finally, the threat actor deployed and executed BlackSuit ransomware across all Windows systems using PSExec. The DFIR report services. Explore this case in depth with our hands-on DFIR labs. Private threat briefs, 20+ private DFIR reports annually. Threat feed focuses on tracking command and control frameworks like Cobalt Strike, Metasploit, Sliver, etc. All intel includes everything from private threat briefs and threat feed, plus private events, threat actor insights reports, long-term tracking, data clustering, and other curated intel. Private Sigma rule set features 170+. Sigma rules derive from 50+ cases, mapped to ATT and CK with test examples. DFIR Labs offers cloud-based hands-on learning experiences using real data from real intrusions. Interactive labs are available with different difficulty levels and can be accessed on demand, accommodating various learning speeds. Contact us today for pricing or a demo. Case summary. This case from May 2024 started with a malicious download from a website mimicking the teleconferencing application Zoom. When visiting the website and downloading a file that seems intended for installing Zoom, the user was, in fact, installing a malicious program created with InnoSetup. The malicious program was a D3FOC loader based on the Pascal scripting language and included several references to the subsequent stages in the execution chain, such as OneDrive, Telegram, and Steam. After executing a batch script to exclude the payload folder from Windows Defender and mark it as hidden, the program connected to a Steam community page for the next stage IP address. 2 archive files were downloaded from this IP and extracted by another batch script. The script then proceeded to execute a payload from each archive. From one archive, the script ran the legitimate Zoom installer so that the end user would get the program they thought they downloaded, lowering the chances of the user reporting the event to IT or security staff. The second payload executed was IDAT loader and an encrypted payload file that resulted in the injection of SecTopRat into MS-Build. The MS-Build process called out to Pastebin to receive an IP address to use for its command and control endpoint. After this, command and control traffic was established and activity ceased for 8 days. On the 9th day of the intrusion, SecTopRat spawned a new command shell and executed a new payload. This was for a Brute Ratel payload, commonly referred to as Badgers. This Badger ran a series of Windows commands for discovery before executing a Cobalt Strike executable beacon. The Cobalt Strike beacon injected into a DL host process and then was observed accessing LSAS memory. After this, the threat actor began moving laterally using Cobalt Strike PSExec PSH to launch a remote service for a PowerShell Cobalt beacon on a domain controller. Once on the domain controller, they continued discovery actions using utilities like NLTest, Net, and System Info. They continued to run Cobalt Strike beacons across several more hosts throughout the environment, repeating the pattern observed on the domain controller. On one domain controller and a backup server, the threat actor dropped a binary svost.exe. This file was a proxy tool known as QDOR. The threat actors executed this file using WMIC on the hosts and passed an IP address to provide a remote server for QDOR to proxy traffic to. Using this tunnel, the threat actor proxied RDP traffic from their server to connect to hosts through the domain controller. They first connected to a file share server where they used the Edge browser to download WinRAR. They then used WinRAR to create an archive of targeted file shares. They then exfiltrated these archives using the SaaS project management suite Bublup via the Edge browser. Following this, they then connected to the first domain controller via RDP. There they downloaded WinRAR again using the Edge browser. followed by a RAR archive from the temporary file sharing site temp.sh. This RAR archive contained all the files needed to stage and deploy their ransomware. After extracting the archive contents, they began to proceed with ransomware deployment. They executed a batch file that copied the ransomware executable to remote hosts, using a series of text files containing the remote targets using psexec. This was followed with a second batch script that utilized the same text files and psexec to run the ransomware on remote hosts. The ransomware was BlackSuit, which after execution on the remote hosts, it used vsysadmin to delete shadow copies, encrypted the local files, and then drop a ransom note. After completing the remote ransomware deployment, the threat actor used WMIC to execute the ransomware locally on the domain controller they used to stage the remote deployment. The time to ransomware, TTR in this case, was a little over 194 hours over 9 calendar days. The next section of the report is not attainable in an audio format. Therefore, we recommend visiting the site on a computer when you have time. A link to the full report is in the description. Thank you for listening.